is a war in the country right now. People are dying. A lot of awful things are happening. And here I am in a village, in a forest, where there are no people, no social media, no chaos. And that's a proof that people are creators of their own chaos, of their own chaotic lives. Where there are no people, there is no chaos. And you have the power to set boundaries, to not let this chaos into your life, to not create it in the first place, and to not consume the chaos that other people create. Even in terms of some bad things happening in the world, a lot of people just give in to news so much. They scroll through news 24/7, and they're just so stressed just because they read those damn news. But I don't. And I don't, not because I don't care about people who are dying. That's because I set the boundary with that chaos, and I understand that I cannot do anything by reading those news. I am not helping those dead people in any way. So, what's the point? You let the chaos into your life. And social media is one of the major ways, one of the main ways that we let the chaos into our lives. I want this video to be a short message of mindfulness because this is something that we all lack nowadays. And I'm really grateful that what I'm going to talk about today is something that I realized in this early age, because I feel so bad for people who don't understand it. I think I will never get tired of filming videos about social media, about its impact on our lives. The first thing I would love to say is we really underestimate little steps. We really underestimate those little actions that we do every day. And let's take the social media. If you spend just 3 hours per day consuming some kind of content, that means that if you live 80 years, it's going to be 10 years of your life that you spent consuming some kind of content, which is really crazy, by the way. You know, it's so scary that we listen to someone else's thoughts more than to our own thoughts, when the insight is always within. You know how much wisdom you can get from just sitting in silence, from just sitting and embracing the present moment. You know how much creativity is within you. And the thing is that you already know what you need to do in order to improve some areas of your life, in order to be happy. You don't need to watch 100 videos on how to be happy. But the way we have no boundaries with social media and with letting all of that noise to come into our heads, of course you cannot come up with any single thought of yours. And I will not even spend a lot of time talking here about how entertaining content ruins your life, how you just waste your time doing it. But even for the content that, seems kind of educational, inspirational, it's like you get some kind of insights from it, so why wouldn't I watch it? I'm actually self-developing, I'm, progressing. No, you're not progressing by doing that. Because even for self-help content, if you consume it mindlessly, if you just turn it on without intention to act upon it right after you finish it in the first place, then why would you even watch it? It's not going to get you any further than you are now in your life. I often ask my friends or some people why do you spend so much time watching TikTok? Do you understand that it's useless? And they tell me, but it's so much beneficial content there that I'm consuming. Here is English, here are some recipes. But how many recipes have you tried from what you have saved or liked? How many English words have you learned from these short videos? And even this video, if you just turn it off and you go and keep scrolling, it's not going to get you anywhere. Even people who send an important message to us that could actually change something in our lives potentially, we don't even spend time trying to internalize it. We turn the video off and we keep going with our day. And even worse, we just switch to another piece of content. We just keep watching and consuming, but it's doing nothing for you. It's an addiction. It's an addiction, and it's the most useless thing you could ever do for yourself. It's the most useless thing you could do on social media, just mindlessly consume. And so for those of you who spend a lot of time watching amusing content, just realize how you deprive yourself of big experiences in this life. We are so afraid to feel deeply nowadays. It's just so scary and so unusual. People are not used to do it. And people don't even realize that there is a whole world outside. And everything that you consume on your phone is just an illusion. It's just a distorted view of someone else's life. It's just a little percentage of someone else's life. It's not yours. You know how we tend to deprive ourselves from deep experiences? We just constantly switch to our phone. You don't let your brain to be fully present in the moment. You don't let it to internalize things that happen to you by constantly going back to the phone. You are just never experiencing life to its fullest. You are not really able to do that. And for those of you who want to watch self-development content to gain some inspiration, to find like-minded people, it's all good. I also do that. But you should change the way you do it, because you 100% are doing it wrong. I was doing it myself this way for such a long time, even for people who provide like step-by-step instruction on how to do something. I was just watching it, but I was not doing anything. I was not implementing that step-by-step instruction. And then I wondered why it's never working for me. So I want to explain you the biggest difference between learning from the resources and just consuming them. So science that you are consuming first is you binge watch. You tend to watch lots of those videos one by one about how to become successful, how to do this, how to do that, but you don't give yourself a second to understand and to analyze what that person was saying. How could it possibly work for you? How can you implement it in your life? You didn't even give it a chance to set in your head. And moreover, you're not going to act upon it. But that's all just consuming. Whereas learning is where you aim for quality of consuming and not for quantity. So you can watch just this one video on the topic that's bothering you. You're not distracting yourself while doing it. You take notes, and I mean paper notes, not phone notes. After you finish watching the video, you stop. You don't go for another piece of content, and you don't immediately switch to another activity. You stop and analyze, what do you think about it? How can it possibly serve you? And you think of implementing those steps into your life, implementing those mindset shifts into your life. This is what learning is. So this is the way that you can get the maximum potential and the maximum use out of consuming some kind of content. But let me tell you that the biggest insight that you could ever get, the most genius idea sits in here. All of the ideas, all of the transformations are only going to happen when you realize it yourself. Not a single genius thought of other person is going to influence you more than your own realization. Never. Because let me tell you, sooner or later in life, we all come to about the same realizations. I've heard it a long time ago, but it just wasn't so clear back then. But now when the time has passed and you realize it itself, it's a whole game changer. Because that's how it works. Unless you realize it yourself, unless you gain your own experience, which teaches you the thought, which helps you to internalize something, nothing is going to change. So people who share their insights online, they share only the end result, but it happened. This insight has happened to them because they were to experience something. And throughout that whole experience, they understood this thing that they're sharing with you. Start learning from your own life experience. Believe me, the path that God has prepared for you is going to teach you much more than any kind of video on the internet, than any kind of insight from other people. You are going to gain your own insights through your own life experience. And in order to remind myself of that, I always like to take a bigger perspective of my life. I always like to think of, if this is the last day of my life, am I going to be happy with what I'm doing right now? Just think about it. If you were to make a film about your life, where you are the main hero, will it be interesting to watch? Is it full of experiences? Is it going to be just routine, scroll, sleep, routine, scroll, sleep, work, probably? It's those mistakes that we make and those conflicts that happen to us. They are teaching us the most. I have the biggest realizations after some kind of conflict, after some kind of bad thing happening to me, or when I do mistakes just one by one, or when I just mess up. Let me tell you, I hate bad things happening to me. I used to hate it. And every time I end up in this experience of, oh, I messed up again. Oh, I did someone wrong. I did something wrong. I'm failing. I don't like all of that. But sometime later, I come out of the experience as a whole different person, with whole different realizations that actually grounded in my head. Because this is what life does to you. Why do you think that someone else's insights are going to be more beneficial for you, or that other people can do better for you than you can do for yourself? You can do so much to yourself, and in fact you are the only person who knows what's best for you, what's going to work for you, what's the most beneficial thing for you. You're the only one who's gonna know that, who's going to figure that shit out. Nobody's gonna do it for yourself, and this is something you need to understand. I spent about 15 minutes thinking, 10 to 15 minutes of silence, of just thinking. And let me tell you, I came up with more ideas for my life, for how can I improve it, for my content, for what do I want to do during that 15 minutes of thinking myself, than from the whole week of consuming some content. Like, even for me, I share this message with you right now, but this thought, this realization didn't just come to me yesterday like that. Though I've heard for a lot of times in my life from early ages that phone is bad, social media consuming is bad, you should limit it, you should be mindful about it, you should restrict it. It's going to mess up your eyesight, it's going to mess up your posture, it's a waste of time. I've heard these things a million times, but let me tell you, I never listened to anyone. I was like, let me just do my business. But then when all of those things actually happened to me, and then when I started to suffer from my own behavior patterns, when I started to run away from emotions and run away from experiences, I started to gradually realize how it actually influences me and how much I'm losing while staying in this trap. And this is why even if someone is telling something that aligns to you, that's really benefiting you, and you are not going to internalize it properly because you haven't been through the experience that is needed yet in order to internalize the thing. But in order for all of that experience to happen, you need to hold space for it. You need to be willing to explore things, to try things. You know how foggy a person's head is from over-consuming? It's scary. You are killing your inner creator. We all have a creative part of ourselves that if we listen to for long enough, that if we listen to for often enough, we could change our lives, seriously. Our dopamine levels are so fucked up at the moment. Our dopamine baseline is really fucked up. And a lot of people justify themselves the way that, oh, but my life is so boring. That's why I spend some time inspiring on social media, spending time there, because it's fun. And my life is so boring. Your life is not boring, you're just not trying to make it more interesting. You're not trying to change it. I actually find a life of scrolling for the whole day to be much more boring than doing something and trying something and failing and getting up. All again, switch social media stimulation for a healthy stimulation. Healthy stimulation is communication. Healthy stimulation is creativity. Healthy stimulation is healthy food, is sport. Sport is such a good stimulation. Spending time on nature is such a good stimulation for your hormones. There are so many ways to make your life more interesting. There are so many ways to make it memorable. It's just a matter of whether you show up or not. Only acting can get you somewhere. During all the other years, I was doing one same mistake. I was focusing on planning, but I didn't do anything. But now I'm really looking closer. I'm just planning 1 week ahead of me, 2 weeks ahead of me, not more. I'm not planning things for the entire year. And you know what happens when you watch this kind of motivational, educational content? You think that you are going to change just like this, really fast. So you was just sitting procrastinating again, then you watch that one video and you just think, oh, okay, I'm going to act upon it. I'm going to change my life. You are putting such a pressure on yourself for changing things fast because this kind of content is just like a dopamine hit that makes you believe that things are going to change overnight. That okay, I'm going to become an entirely different person now. And you know, this motivational content from other people never works long term. If you are motivated by someone out there or by something out there, it's only temporary. Things are going to work out for you only if you motivate yourself, only if motivation comes from within, only if the ideas and the stuff and everything just comes from within. So if you really want to learn, if you really want to grow and live an insightful, meaningful, deep life, cut out the noise. First, cut out the amusing, entertaining content. Consume as little as you possibly can. Talking about educational content, you also should limit it. Let this video be the last one. If you're not about to change anything, then okay, you can just turn it off right now, go to another one and then another one and then another one. But if you are about to change something, if you understand that the way you was living lately is not really serving you, then please watch this video till the end. Turn the phone off and don't switch to any other task. Put a 10-minute timer on and let your own thoughts to come up. And probably if you start doing it, but you were consuming a lot of content before, then your head is going to be so foggy and so just noisy, a lot of content. But that's just because your brain is overloaded. So you really need to make that time for yourself. So if you are really about changing your life, even if you don't know where do you want to go yet, you are not going to figure out where to go if you just keep listening to other people. If you just keep consuming, you need to listen to yourself. We all are born with that unique set of traits, and you need to come back to it. You need to start to listen to yourself again in order to set yourself for life. It's not going to happen any other way but listening to yourself. You need to reconnect to yourself, to the universe, to the God, whatever you believe in. You could achieve so many things during that time, but you have chosen to just waste it. Stop ruining your life, seriously. Stop ruining it. You were not given it to just waste like that. And this is what romanticizing life is. Be your main hero. It's not about some aesthetics. So be really intentional about how you spend your life, moment to moment, day to day. Would you want to tell your kids about it? Will you be content with how you lived your whole life in the end? Or not? It's never really late to give up on some kind of behavior patterns that you were repeating over and over during a long period of your life. You don't owe yourself to be anything like who you've been 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 2 weeks ago, a year ago. You can become a completely different person starting from right now. But only if you want it, and only if you actively make decisions that are going to serve you. You know what to do. Discovering yourself, serving your purpose, discovering your happiness is not about habits. It's a lifestyle. It's a choice. It's every minute, every second choice that you make. It's not going to happen any other way. It's not about, okay, I do journaling for 5 minutes a day, but for the majority of my day, I just scroll. It's not going to get you anywhere. Stop looking for the ultimate productivity system. There is no ultimate productivity system that's going to work for everyone. Because deep inside, you know what works for you. You know what's meant for you. You know who you are. You just lost it in the noise of this world. I suggest you to just be intentional this year. Try reconnecting with yourself. Try coming back home to yourself. Believe me, this is the best goal that you can have for this year. Come back to yourself. Reveal what's true for you, what's genuine, what feels right for you, not for anyone else. The moment I realize that I can actually live my life the way I want to live it, I don't owe anything to anyone in terms of what do I do, what profession do I choose. Oh my goodness! Cutie! There is this cutie! So you can endlessly get inspired by other people, by what do they do, how do they live, and I also do. I do too. I have people that inspire me so much. But at a certain point, I understood that I hold such a power within myself and that I can create so much from myself. The moment you face a problem, the moment you feel stuck, you should not go and Google how do I solve it. You should stop and ask yourself how do I solve it. And believe me, you are going to get the answer. It's all within you. I believe that as long as I share a genuine message and put it out there, right people are going to find my channel. If you feel like you are the right person, then I will be really glad if you join our community. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please just understand how powerful you are and how powerless social media is in your life. Content of people that you don't even know on your damn phone should be last things that you think about, should be last things that are priorities in your day. I just hope you live the best life that you can possibly imagine for yourself. I believe you can do it because, honey, I believe in myself. I'm doing it. I'm not perfect, but nobody is. So please just start to show up for yourself and turn social media off. Thank you so much and bye-bye!